Orders and order dice have already been mentioned briefly in the basics tutorial, but let us now more closely examine this feature that makes Bolt Action such an outstanding wargame. When a unit is activated, it is assigned an order die. This is a representation of the unit's leader making a tactical decision and declaring it to the unit. However, if troops are under fire, there is a chance they will ignore orders and decide to keep their heads down. In Bolt Action, all but the most fanatical of soldiers worry about their well-being. The choice of orders a player can issue to their units is represented by the 6 faces of the order die. Fire. The unit fires at full effect with whatever weapons it is armed with, but cannot move.
Da drüben bei diesen Fässern! Feuer öffnen! Nageln sie fest!
Down. The unit does not move or fire. Instead, the troops hit the dirt and keep their heads down, making maximum use of whatever cover is available.
Take cover!
This is useful when a unit is claiming an objective and needs to keep casualties to a minimum. It is also the default order applied whenever a unit fails its order test. Advance. The unit may move at its basic move rate, then fire with a penalty to the rolls.
Follow me! Geh in Deckung! Pour it on, lads!
Some weapons, such as heavy machine guns and certain mortars, take time to set up, and may not move and fire during the same activation. Run. The unit moves at double speed, but may not fire. This is the only way to initiate close combat assaults and enter buildings.
Take out those Jerrys!
Ambush. The unit does not move or fire, but takes up firing positions and waits for a target to present itself. This is a useful tactical option to provide area denial and influence rival players' decision-making. Rally. The unit does not move or fire, but rather regroups in order to shed pin markers and get back into the fight.
Hold this position! Regroup!
Typically, units will execute your orders to the best of their ability without question.
Unter Beschuss!
Units under enemy fire become less reliable as stress mounts and may ignore their orders altogether.
Ich brauche hier Hilfe!
This is represented in-game by the rules for pinning. Pin troops are identified by placing a pin marker next to them, making sure it is clear that it is they who are affected. This is important when multiple friendly units are in close proximity, and proper pin marker placement should be a good habit to get into to make identification easy for all parties involved. The more fire a unit takes, the more pin markers it will accrue, and will become increasingly reluctant to obey their orders.
Mann am Boden!
In the case of high explosives like howitzers or artillery strikes, multiple pins can be applied at once, making these weapons particularly devastating to unit morale.
Unten bleiben!
Note that the number of casualties sustained does not figure into whether a marker is applied or not. As long as they have been hit, then one or more markers are applied, even if no one in the unit is taken out of action. Each pin marker on a unit lowers its morale value by 1 point. Once a unit has pin markers, whenever it is given an order other than the down order, it must make an order test. This is based on its morale value, and these differ depending on the quality of the unit. Not all troops are the same. Some are highly trained, motivated, or experienced, whilst others are conscripts or committed to the battlefield with minimal training or equipment. To reflect this, troops are split into 3 different categories: inexperienced, regular, and veteran troops. Another modifier to a unit's order and morale tests is the presence of its leader. Infantry and artillery units are led by squad or team leaders, typically an NCO. These are embedded into the unit and cannot be detached. If this leader is taken out of action, then the unit's cohesion and ability to act suffers. In game terms, this means that the unit receives a permanent -1 modifier to its morale value. A marker of some kind can be useful to remind all players involved that this modifier is in effect. So, for example, if an elite section of SAS troops had received a pin marker, they would reduce their morale value by 1 point. If the NCO was taken out, it would drop another point. Because they count as veterans, that would mean their morale value would be adjusted from 10 to 8. If a player was to activate this section, because they have a pin marker, an order test is needed to see if they act as intended. An order test involves the player rolling 2 dice and comparing the total rolled to the unit's current morale value. If it is less than or equal to the morale value, then the order test is successful and the unit executes the given order. Additionally, to simulate the men's morale stabilizing, a single pin marker is removed. However, if the total is higher than the morale value, then the unit does not remove a pin marker, ignores the order given, executes a down order instead. These chaps are more concerned with avoiding nasty bullet wounds than receiving medals for the time being.
They've got us pinned down!
Though this may potentially ruin your plans, it sometimes can be a blessing in disguise, depending on the situation.
Bloody hell!
If 2 6s are rolled for an order test, then the order failed catastrophically, and you must roll on the foobar table. This means that the unit has panicked, misunderstood its order, or that something has gone terribly wrong somewhere along the line. This is where friendly fire becomes a possibility if a friendly unit is within 12 inches of an enemy unit.
Attack right flank!
This 12-inch proximity is a welcome change from 2nd edition, where units in the backline could open fire on friendlies where it made little sense.
What the hell? Oh, sorry mate, thought you was a Jerry.
Another more frightening change from the previous edition is that if the unit panics and runs away from the enemy, it now has the chance to run off the battlefield, effectively counting as being destroyed.
Schwere Beschuss!
Truly, a scary possibility for players who like to use mortars and howitzers, who typically lurk near the table edges.
Scupper, you Jerry bastard!
Conversely, if 2 1s are rolled, then the order automatically succeeds, and all pin markers are removed. The unit has momentarily been instilled with incredible courage and will do whatever is necessary to get the job done.
Welcome to the front lines.
A unit at full strength has its morale fortified. That is to say, more specifically, if it is a squad of infantry at the maximum number possible for such a unit, it can re-roll a failed order check. This bonus is lost as soon as the unit takes a casualty, but it is worth remembering, as in my experience it can easily be forgotten and can quite literally mean the difference between a game won and lost. As mentioned, if a unit is actively given a down order, it does not make an order test. It also does not remove a pin marker though, as no order test was made. If a pinned unit is given the rally order, it then makes a special order test, ignoring any modifiers from pin markers. If successful, it removes all of its pin markers. This is a very welcome change from 2nd edition, where Rally removed 1d6 plus 1 pins. Bravo, Warlord Games! If a unit's pin marker total matches or exceeds its unmodified morale value, then it has routed. A routed unit is immediately removed from play and counts as having been destroyed. For example, a unit of inexperienced partisans have an unmodified morale value of 8. If during the course of a battle they receive 8 or more pin markers, they quit the field and are, for all intents and purposes, destroyed.
Bougez-vous!
Judicious use of the rally order will usually prevent this from happening, but a coordinated attack from multiple enemy units can quickly stack the pins. Pin markers affect a unit's morale negatively, but there are positive modifiers as well. The most common being officers. Officers are vital to a player's tactical effectiveness in bolt action for multiple reasons, but for this tutorial we'll just be looking at their effect on unit morale. Officers boost all nearby friendly units' morale, helping offset the penalty incurred from pins and possibly even raising the unit's morale above its starting value. Careful placement of officers will help a player maintain control of his men and bring their brilliant plans to fruition. Officers will be looked at in greater detail in the tutorial on unit types. Regardless of the number of pins or bonuses from officers, there is a maximum and minimum morale value. A unit cannot have a morale value greater than 11 or lower than 2. This is a slight adjustment from 2nd edition where the maximum was 10. This change, though small, does make officers that much more important in my opinion. And that concludes the tutorial on orders. Thank you for watching. I hope it proved useful in some way, and if you haven't already done so, please like, subscribe, and click the notification bell to be informed as soon as the next tutorial in the series is published.